We'll start off this week. Men's and women's golf are playing at the Green Tea Invitational up in Midland, hosted by Midland College. That's today and tomorrow. Softball had their scheduled doubleheader against McMurray postponed tomorrow. That'll be made up at a later date. Thursday kicks off the 2019 Lone Star Conference Men's Basketball Championship. The Falcons are seeded 7th and tip off against Texas A&M Commerce, the number 2 seed at 2:30 up in Frisco. Friday, softball and baseball will kick off their weekend series. Softball is at home against West Texas A&M at 6 o'clock, and baseball is at Cameron in a non-conference series at 7. Saturday, softball is at 1 and 3 at home against West Texas A&M. Baseball first pitch is at 5 o'clock for their Saturday doubleheader, and then baseball concludes their 4-game series Sunday at 1 o'clock up in Lawton, Oklahoma. Okay, we'll get started today with head men's basketball coach Josh Newman.
Can we do Adam first?
Okay, let's do Adam first. I'll do Adam Rivera, sophomore forward.
Okay. I'm good, people. Sorry. Okay, Adam. So next game, Lone Star Conference tournament game. What's the team's mindset going into this postseason matchup?
I think that the main thing is we're not even worried about what seed we are, what matchup we have. We know that we can compete with anybody in the conference. So I think that just having the chances, that's our mindset right now.
How do you guys feel like confidence-wise coming in off of the last stretch of the season right here?
We feel good. I mean, obviously we have kind of a letdown against Tarleton, but I think we had a really good game against Commerce, so I think that'll help us out with this upcoming matchup.
Looking back at the team from week 1 till now, how would you think you guys have changed throughout the season?
I think being able to put things together, playing more complete games. I think at the beginning of the year we were kind of streaky in certain areas, and I think now we're starting to put things together.
So speaking about the Commerce matchup, specifically split with them on the season, what have you kind of learned about their team from the first game to the second game that you're able to do better than?
Well, it's kind of a unique situation this year because the first time we played them, we were shorthanded, and the second time we played them, they were shorthanded. So the main thing from them is their toughness, the way they guard, and they have really good guard play. So I think that whoever able to impose their will the best is probably
You specifically have had to step up quite a bit the last few weeks. So what's that been like for you?
It's just coming from coach, putting the confidence in me to go out there and make shots and help do whatever I can to help the team.
What do you think the biggest X factor is going to be going into the postseason right now that you guys need to pull off?
I think defense. There's been some stretches in the season where we played really good defense, and there's times that it hasn't been so good. So I think that's what we need to be successful at in order to make a run.
If fans or media were able to pull away one statement after, so you guys go into Frisco, and everyone pulls away one thing that they saw, what do you think that's going to be?
Probably offense. I think that's kind of what we live and die by is offense. So I think that's what you'll see.
All right.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
All right, and now we'll go with head men's basketball coach Josh Newman.
Let's try.
When you guys are ready.
One second. We'll go when you guys are.
I think sorry, I'm gonna be difficult. I'm gonna move up a
You're
little
gonna
bit, as long as I'm not in everyone's way, just because I don't think it's picking up my wireless properly. Okay. I'm good. Am I in your way?
Nope, you're okay.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, recapping last week, Thursday, obviously played Commerce, and I thought our kids played extremely well. We just heard from Adam. Adam played phenomenal. He actually did not miss a shot, so whatever he did going into that game, we need to make sure he does it again on Thursday. But he played really well, and as you asked him, he stepped up. He stepped up in a lot of ways, scoring, defensive rebounding, and we need that more going into the conference tournament. On Saturday, disappointed, honestly. I didn't think our guys played with the same type of energy and effort they played versus Commerce on Thursday. Give a lot of credit to Tarleton. They took us out of some things that we wanted to do. They played zone almost the entire second half, and that really stalled us out offensively. We weren't able to get out in transition and get some easy baskets. So give them a lot of credit, but with all that being said, that week is over. That part of the season is over. This is the final part of the season, and we talked to our guys briefly about it after the game. We'll address it a lot today. Is moving forward. This is the final season. This is the final part of the season. And this is postseason play. This is what everything you worked for up until this point to give you an opportunity, and we have an opportunity to keep playing. And so obviously we want to take advantage of that on Thursday versus a very good basketball team in Commerce.
So going off of that, I gotta ask Adam, kind of split with them. You learned something. He kind of answered. You were both shorthanded in interesting scenario. So what's the X factor going into that game coming up?
Yeah, first of all, it's a great answer. He's right. Going into the X factor again, I think it's going to be which team can defend. They gave up 102 points to us. I know that's something they're talking about. And we actually controlled that game for the majority of the game. The last 5 minutes, it kind of got away from us. Otherwise, it's been a 15, even a 20-point game. So I think defensively, whichever team can clamp down and not give up easy baskets, because obviously in postseason play, every basket is a little bit harder. Everybody's playing a little bit tougher. Emotions are a little bit higher. So whichever team can get the key stops, and for us, not turning the ball over. Besides getting key stops, we have to value every possession and make every possession a significant one.
So obviously defense and turnovers are big question marks around this team throughout the season.
Yeah.
Now going into that last portion, you only need a stretch of a few games for you to pull it off. How do you kind of get the guys to show up for that?
Well, Marshall, I don't know if you make a difference. I mean, we are kind of who we are. Hopefully we can tune it up a little bit. But when you go into these situations, postseason play, it's not about 3 games, it's about 1 game, because that's all that matters. And so we're trying to figure out right now how to be the best team we can be Thursday, and if we're good enough then we figure out the next step. But right now it's just 1 game at a time, and we have obviously just played them just a week ago, so we kind of know what to expect. We obviously did some things well. We need to do some things better if we want to win one more time versus them.
What are some of those things that you want to improve upon in this next matchup?
So transition D late. That was one thing that they started getting us on late in the game, is they just started taking the ball out and running it right down, and we were not ready to set defensively, and that's got to change. Offensively, we're fine. We scored 102 points. We actually took advantage of some of the things they did, but I don't want to tell you what those are because maybe they didn't know. But we're going to keep trying to do those things, but defensively in the second half, we have to be much better at transition defense.
Like I asked Adam, what do you think is the biggest difference from your team from week 1 till now?
Well, week 1 is really, I'd say, the scheduling. Early we were trying to figure some things out. Offensively, we've been good all year long. We've been able to score points consistently. Defensively, I think we've gotten better. I hope we've gotten better. I hope our basketball team in general has gotten better. We are a different team, but we still kind of do some of the things that we did early in the year, unfortunately, and we've got to figure out how to limit those, especially going into Thursday.
What's the vibe like within the team right now?
Well, it's too early to ask. If you want to come back in 2 hours, I'll tell you. We haven't seen them or been around them after the Tarleton game. Obviously, they went their separate way. Sunday we had study hall. We will meet today at 1:15, watch film, go to practice, watch some more film. So I will have a better answer for that. But I will tell you this: they're excited to play. Anytime you get to go to postseason, you have a new opportunity. And it doesn't really matter what you did prior to this point. Now it's a whole new season, and I think they'll be excited about playing in that.
From an emotional standpoint, I'm assuming Commerce, they're probably pretty pissed off, coming off a loss to you guys, and they're going to be revved up, ready to go. How do you get your guys to, or are they, do you think, kind of ready to, all right, let's answer the challenge?
Well, if they're not ready, we're going to make them ready, because you're exactly right. I mean, it's good and bad. Beating Commerce, it woke them up. They know going to that game that they can get beat. If we would have gotten beat, now you go into it, it's a whole different feeling. So they are going to be ready. They will be on, their sense will be high. Ours will too. Obviously, it's now a game that we split, and we're going to figure out who's the better team at this time of the year. And now you want to be playing your best basketball, and you want to be the team that comes out on top in this particular game on Thursday.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, next up we'll go with softball coach Yala Tagaloa.
Okay, Coach, I guess just to kind of recap how conference play has been going so far, how do you feel about how your team has played?
I think we're competing. I think, with Commerce, obviously it was our first weekend out. At that week they were number 5 in the nation, and we took them into 0-0 going into the 7th inning, and then also 1-0 going into late innings. So I think we're competing. I just think we're falling short. We're getting runners on, just not being able to get them in. And so that's probably the most frustrating part. Is it's not that the fight's not there. We're definitely fighting. We're competing. It's just falling a little short, and that's the same thing that happened this weekend at Eastern. In the 8th inning and the 7th inning in first game 1 and game 2, we lost 4-3 and 5-4. So in those late innings, not being able to push runners across earlier in the earlier innings to be able to come down to that unfortunate last inning. So.
It's a pretty young team. Do you feel like as the season progresses, they'll have more experience behind them, they'll be able to close out those close games?
I think so. I think that, right now, we said it before, we have 1 senior. So that's tough when you have a majority of the team that's playing, or the players that are on the field are freshmen, sophomores. So they're having to come in and not have that true college experience. And so they're having to compete at a high level, being in the Lone Star Conference and being able to get their footing under there quick, and not having, whereas like in high school or travel ball, you're able to make mistakes. Unfortunately, you can't make mistakes in this conference. Otherwise, it bites you hard.
So it seems kind of like in the conference itself, the pitchers are still kind of ahead of the hitters at this point in the season. How do you kind of get the hitters to start getting those big hits when there's running on and so forth?
I think just practicing pressure situations, and I think honestly we've been trying to mimic that in practice. But the other thing that's kind of been holding us down is injuries. Unfortunately, I'm having to cross out 5 names consistently every single game. So we have yet to have a game where we have everybody that's able to play. So I think that's hurting us also, is having some of those upperclassmen being able to chip in and have that experience to be able to kind of, for the young ones to lean on.
Over the last few weeks, has there been anyone who's stepped up that has surprised you at all?
Honestly, this weekend, April Ariano did outstanding. She's a sophomore, and I think last year, being a freshman, she had to step into the shortstop position and kind of struggled a little bit, because that's a main position that you have to anchor down. And hitting-wise, defense-wise, she just was outstanding, and that's exactly what I pulled it aside after our series this weekend and said, hey, that's the kid that I picked, and that's who I want you to be every single time. I mean, she stepped in and was truly a leader, and I think that's what we need going forward, especially out of a sophomore. And if she can continue that through the next 2 years, I think the sky's the limit for her, for sure.
Good.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, we'll close today with head baseball coach Tony Green.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, Coach. So coming off the weekend, obviously playing a top team in the country, what are your biggest takeaways from the guys?
Yeah, I thought the first 2 games, I thought we pitched it really, really well. Their pitching staff is pretty equitable to a lot of Division I staffs. Every guy you see is going to be low 90s for the most part. So, their pitching is obviously the best we've seen all year. And that was the best team we've seen all year. I thought Friday for us, 2 runs and 9 innings against those guys, I thought we did a heck of a job. 1 hit in game 3, we were ahead 3-1. They hit the 3-run home run, and then we just had a couple of relievers, give up 1 the rest of the way. But the second game Saturday was the game that when you don't do things right, and the snowball effect happens, and we let it get out of hand. And some guys pitched that, now they have to understand what they have to do to get better. Those were, it was not only that, we had a misplay in the outfield, and those are things that, when that happens, those have to be stopped. Those guys have to make sure that they're communicating and doing things the right way, so we don't have that effect happen to us. Obviously, Sunday, it was soaking wet and cold, and we canceled that one.
So as far as pitching goes, I remember, a few weeks ago, first week of the season, you said, our guys are not throwing strikes, we got to get up to speed. How are you, especially now, thinking of the pitchers?
First 2 games is, they did a really good job. We made 1 error in game one in about the 7th inning to put us behind 2-0, but I mean, they still are competing and doing things the right way. Obviously, game 3, that was everything that was wrong. I mean, we walked a bunch of guys, we hit a bunch of guys. I mean, and so when that happens, you know, offensively, we're not where we need to be right now to overcome that.
After this weekend, what has the vibe been like with the team?
You know, we had Sunday off. We'll see today. We're going to hit today. I mean, there's frustration, but it's frustration that has to be worked out by working out and getting better and doing things that are going to make you a better player, especially on the offensive end. You know, continually making the same mistake over and over again just is not going to work. And so, you know, we had a couple other guys that got some opportunities this weekend, and one had success, and so he'll get some more time. But I mean, realistically, it's being able to go about your business every single day and doing things, you know, when we're not at practice, or if you're doing extra hitting, stuff like that, making sure you're doing things the right way. And it will translate. You just have to trust the process, because right now you get frustrated too quickly and not trust it.
So it seemed like, you know, I don't know the exact number, but there was a decent amount of pitching changes over the course of the series. Would you say that was more of a strategical or tactical thing, or do you have a short leash on your guys?
No, I think it's more of a tactical thing. I think the more opportunities we have to not let them see guys, you know, for sure twice through the order, I think it's really hard. When teams have done that to us in the past, it really affects your approach at the plate, because you have the scouting report on this guy, and then the next time you're up, you have a whole new guy, and you got to redo, you know, go look at the scouting report on that guy. And so I think it can be a positive for us. You know, the hard part is, like we talked about before, if I got somebody that's gone through 6 up, 6 down, do I really want to take them out? But inevitably, when I don't, that's when we have an issue where they score.
Works for me. Cool. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
You bet.
Thank you.